welcome to Around the Scene, presented by Playing with Rockets. I'm one of your hosts, PW Ryan, and joining me today is the better host who has many believers. We have Liefx. How you doing, man?
You did it. Why would you do that? Why would you do that to the people? They get that enough during RLCS. They don't need more of it. I'm great. Thanks for having me on, buddy.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for joining us, man. It's a pleasure to have you. How you doing today?
Oh, all right. I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely had a bit
We
of
talked a
rough
little bit already, so I kind of know.
yeah, no, it's not been good, man. Don't just a word of advice to chat right now. Don't play ranked right now. It's not good. It's not good. Everything just got reset, soft reset. A bunch of people that haven't played in a long time are getting on and making ranked a bit of a unfun fest.
Yeah, right, it's the fresh season blues.
Yeah, no, it's not good, dude. I don't know. So I gotta tell you, I dipped from at the end of last season, I played
Yeah.
Inebriated and tired one night, and I brought my rank down from C3 to about D3, and then I got it back up to C1 by the end of the season, and then I did my placements, and it was just not good. Got D3 back, now I'm down to D2, and I just don't get how someone goes from C3 to Diamond 2. And now I don't, want to just blame my teammates, but I really feel that's a big part of it right now.
At some point, it's just like, it's your fault, not mine.
I actually have no idea what to do right now because the gameplay's so confusing. I'm getting bumped around all over the place. Like, no one knows where they're supposed to be. People are just missing the ball on my opponents and my teammates' side. Like, there have been so many times I'm watching a goal go in right now, and we get the goal, and I'm like, that should not have been a goal. How did they?
Yeah, how did that happen? Yeah,
it's on both sides. It's on both sides, but I definitely do not know how to deal with it right now. So that's how I'm doing today.
Well, that's all good and dandy.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, this is episode 20 of Around the Scene. We're here every Wednesday to get you your fix on all things Rocket League. If you like this, be sure to give us a follow or sub here on Twitch, on YouTube, and any of the podcast services that you listen to us on. Also, consider supporting us by kicking us a buck over on patreon.com/playingwithrockets. We thank you guys for joining us, and we encourage you guys to be discussing over there in chat. If you bring up something that is valuable or you have a question that we want to pursue, we'll bring you into the show and we'll start talking about whatever you just said there in chat. So feel free to pose questions, points, all that good stuff. Quick shout out to our Patreon sponsors for the month of August, Father5 and Jonesy. I always have to check that to make sure I'm in the correct month.
That's fair. Honestly, I forget what day it is sometimes.
Yeah. But we got 4 items for our Rocket League news segment today. The first bit of news is League of Rockets is ending all events for an indefinite amount of time. He made a made a post on the Twitter account for League of Rockets saying what all's going on. So I'm just gonna read you a little bit of it. If you want to read the full thing, you can go over to at LOR. I believe is the name of their account, LOR Studios, if you want to read the whole thing. Yeah. But first, I would like to thank the entire Rocket League community for its support over the past few years. I know I've not interacted with you much on a personal level, but your feedback and encouragement is what kept me going from the very beginning. These memories, particularly in the earlier days of LOR, are the ones I will hold on for a long time. As of now, I have 0 plans for the future of LOR, a feeling which I have not experienced since the very first LOR video. I'm 27 now with a little family and often think about where my focus should be in this stage of life. I still feel passionate for Rocket League, however, the things I do these days with LOR tend to cost a lot of money and require large amounts of time. Not a great formula when it does not earn that much money back. That being said, it has never been my goal to earn money with LOR. I love the freedom when the only goal is to make something special, and I would not trade that for anything. So what are some of your thoughts, man? Because I mean, you being a little closer with Psionics and stuff, you probably have. Well, actually, you got to talk with Johnny Boy at BTS and other events. So, have you guys talked about that at all, or I mean, just kind of what are some of your general thoughts on this?
No, back then Johnny didn't even make it seem like he knew this was going to happen. Like it sounded like they might have wanted to talk about more stuff or like do more stuff or whatever. But I think it makes sense. I mean, like you look at the costs that go into a production, dude. Like I think people don't realize how
Oh
much
yeah.
goes into it. But first off, just even look at like 12 Titans or something, right? First off, it's the time commitment. That's a lot of time. So,
Yeah.
you're either taking that time away from work or you're putting your spare time into that. And especially if you have a family, which mentions here is like if you got a family, you got to take care of your family too, right? You got to give them
Yeah.
time. So it's like when you feel like you have to deliver on something, it can get very stressful, and that's not what you want from a project like this. So not only is your own time, you're also looking at the costs of flying players. Like these, like they flew
Yeah.
them for this, right? So you look at one ticket on average, uh, like you're looking at minimum domestically, probably like if you're in the EU, anywhere between 70 to 200. Then you're looking at in
International stuff.
North America domestically is like 150 to 300. Then you look at international stuff. That's usually minimum starting at like 400 to 500, and then upwards. If I were to go over to Europe from North America right now, that's probably going to cost a good $1,200. Now do that with 12 different players, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a
That
good
it
chunk
adds
of
up
money.
pretty fast.
Yeah, it's a good chunk of money. So the fact that like he's able to do this in the first place shows that he probably just wanted to, and he never had sponsors and stuff, right? That he just wanted to make a cool project, and he did.
Yeah.
He succeeded in that. So I can see why he'd want to step off. Who knows? Maybe some of the stuff they wanted to do was met with resistance because there's the guidelines now for doing stuff. Back then, they could just do stuff
Yeah.
whenever they wanted, right? So
Once
now,
Psionics introduced like the community guidelines, I know that a lot of people in the scene were kind of like, okay, now like there's actually like a rule set we gotta comply with.
yeah. So there's a good and a bad to that. The good is that for me I don't want to have like a million events happening every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to have the CS:GO situation where it's like
There's a
two
week.
events.
There's a something every weekend almost.
Yeah, and it's not only that, it's sometimes there's two events on one weekend. And teams now have to split where they're going. The audience splits what they're watching, and it feels saturated. Smash Brothers ran into the same problem a few years back, um, where there was just too much that people get burnt out, right? Even if it's not on the
Yeah.
same weekend, you're getting burnt out, right? So the guidelines help prevent a lot of that because now, if it's a smaller one under 5,000, what it does is that first establishes, okay, this is our guideline for how much money you need to, be taken super seriously.
Yeah.
You do 5,000, you're good. And you can run a bunch of those in a year. I think it's like I think it's up to like $25,000 per organization per year or something.
It's
so you can run five.
you can do up to 50,000 total prizing in a year, and if you go above that,
Oh, okay.
if you go above 50,000 prize in a year, then you have to start talking to them. I believe is how it phrases itself, but it says
And I
like your
think it's like
your yearly cap is 50,000, and your monthly cap I think is 5,000.
Yeah. So I mean, like you can run a bunch of those events and they're decent to play in, but that's gonna support a lot of the bubble scene. And I know
Mm-hmm.
I at least what I think is what they wanted to do with these guidelines is, excuse me, make sure that the top level pros don't get burnt out themselves from playing, right?
Yeah.
And this is why these guidelines are in place to make sure that you don't have $100,000 tournaments every weekend that pros just don't want to play in anymore. So
Yeah.
there's two things. One, it's like, okay, if pros stop playing in tournaments, are people going to start shouting, "Oh, the scene is dead. Nobody wanted to sign up for this," even though it's 100,000, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems with that. So I think on the other side though is then you have situations where if you want to do something really big that people will pay attention to, you have to not only do you have your own planning to go through, you have to plan with Psionics, right? So
Yeah.
if that takes longer than the timeline you were hoping for, then that becomes problematic. So I'm not saying that's why League of Rockets
No, but it does
stopped.
pose some issues because like that was one of the issues that Gold Rush had was they have to like communicate with Psionics and everything. They have to pass a lot of stuff by Psionics because there's a lot more money involved. They're actually flying players out, and they're trying to do it through crowdfunding. Like it was just a lot of stuff.
That yeah, that's the thing too. Is it's not just $5,000 in pricing; it's $5,000 total
Yeah,
expense for an event. So yeah, no, it becomes a lot harder to go through. So again, in my eyes, like I even want, RLCS to be one Worlds a year, right? I already think it's saturated a lot. So I understand not allowing saturation to happen. I think there
yeah,
is something you need to take control of it in some way, right? But, on the same side, that could be for someone like League of Rockets that wants to do things on their own time,
yeah,
especially because, if Nick's got his own family, his own thing, he needs to do it on his own time. He might
yeah,
not be able to get a date and then crunch it within a month. He might take 5 months and then announce it. But it's he doesn't know that until the time comes around. So I can understand how it would be difficult for his specific case to maneuver around the scene like that. So you got to take care of yourself first. So for me, it honestly makes sense that he's taken a step back. He said he's still doing other stuff, right?
yeah. I think
He
he
said he's
said he's still gonna be
fun his
trying to
way.
do some other stuff with Jiff Your Game and things like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah, exactly.
in terms of like his larger scale events like 12 Titans, World Cup, things like that, those are gonna be kind of on the side for a while.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like it says he'll likely find his way into another YouTube channel and create something new without. So that's the thing is like people. That's the other thing is like when you're, it's almost the Half-Life 3 effect. I feel like like I that's why I said I honestly don't think it has anything to even if a little bit it doesn't really. The majority of the thing here isn't to do with the guidelines, right? Like I don't think that's restricting him in any way.
Yeah,
It's the fact that your expectations suddenly exceed what your skill level is, and it's like what if people start expecting incredible stuff from him and it to be better and better and better every time? That's mentally taxing, especially if you know that, well, with the given time I can't do that, or the given budget I can't do that, right? Like
yeah,
so it becomes a difficult spot where when people have expectations. So it makes sense that he'd want to go off and try something new to another channel, say, hey, you guys already have something cool, can I help like make it a little better? Sometimes that's even fun, just kind of injecting your knowledge into something that's already built,
yeah.
to make it a little better. So it makes sense to me that he's taking this break. It sucks because he makes a lot of good content, but
No, like he makes some like, and that's the thing too is like his stuff. It's so unique. You don't really see tournaments that have the feel that his do. They have this like very cinematic feel that it's just it's crazy how well he executed all of these events because they draw you in so well. Like just his trailers alone were something that like drew people in to want to come see them. Like
mhm.
and I think particularly to like his World Cup ones, they were so well done. And I
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
like, I was so excited when that event came around, and it's like, for me as like a viewer and everything, it just is like, man, I would love to see like 12 Titans. I really loved, but I would love to see like another World Cup. Like even if he only does it like once every 2 years, 3 years or something, like it'd be really cool to see another one of those, especially with how many new players we have since the last one happened. Because a lot of the
Yeah.
players who played in that aren't in the scene at all anymore, or
Mhm.
they've just kind of dropped off since.
Yeah. So I mean, like, here's the other thing that I start thinking, and just as a disclaimer too, I don't know anything, so this is all none of this
I
is
mean,
official. This is all just
we're
top of my
we're
head.
like I said earlier, we're armchair quarterbacks or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call
No, what I'm saying is
it.
just like a fit. Like I actually I don't know about what I'm about to say. What I'm saying is like
Yeah.
what I instantly think is that maybe he wanted to do a big World Cup, but the Olympics have been talking about getting esports into their scene for a while now.
Oh
But the thing
yeah.
is, yeah, I know all this stuff because of working Squad, the other show, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
I've known they've been looking for a while now. I actually talked to a guy that used to work on the Olympic Committee. They want esports in it, but they're trying to find a game or games that don't have violence, which is
Yeah.
very difficult to do to find a
No, it's
game that doesn't have
extremely difficult.
violence and is something people are going to watch.
I mean, the only
Um,
ones you're looking at then are practically us, Dota, and League of Legends.
but even those, I mean, you look at the games have like the word pentakill in it. They don't
Oh
want that. They
yeah.
don't want that, right? So and those are
Man,
difficult to
yeah, I
follow
didn't even
too.
think about that
The-
kind of stuff. Like
I'm
on that
not gonna
level.
lie, maybe Smash Brothers, even though it's violence, but like the only games I can legitimately see being in there is like Rocket League. And then some of these newer games you see popping up too. A lot of people are trying to follow that. Rocket League set a huge trend. Like, look at how many games are coming out. Like, what's that one? Something Steel or whatever. Then there's Roller Champs. Like, there's so many games that
Oh
are
yeah, the, like Ubisoft roller
yeah.
derby one. Yeah, I remember
There's
that.
sports-esque games, and there's a lot of them starting to come out in the next little bit. That I feel like a lot of them understand that this is going to be a thing that can happen. So they're all trying to target that kind of space where it's like, okay, well, if we make a game that the Olympic Committee likes, we can get on.
Yeah.
As long as there's no, this is something that people
It's
can just
such
understand.
it's crazy though, because that's such a fine line to find, because you just like, I don't think that that was Psyonix's initial intention of like, let's find something that's not violent. Like,
Yeah.
it kind of happened, and I think once you start trying to force that, I think a lot of these groups, these publishers, are going to have a harder time trying to hit that sweet spot that Psyonix found. And to an extent, like, it was a little bit of luck that Psyonix was able to find something that hit that like magic formula. I mean, it's just kind of lottery at some points.
Yeah, so I think, well, again, no, that definitely wasn't like a. I think they came across Rocket League just by
Yeah.
accident. No, I think it was Beckwith that Adam or his brother that put the ball in the middle of a game, another
Yeah,
game
just like threw it in there for fun.
and it worked out, and they all had fun. They all found they were playing it right. So
Let's do it.
it wasn't that they had a formula of like, okay, let's make this the most accessible game ever to anybody, to anybody can watch it, put it in the Olympics. That wasn't the goal. It just happened to work out. But yeah, you think of any of the games that exist right now. Again, like this is bias aside. I love a bunch of different esports. None of them really have
Yeah.
the ease of access without the violence and the audience behind it already. Rocket League already has a very large established audience. It's easy for new people to get into, and there's no violence. Like, like if you can tell me another game that's at the level of Rocket League that doesn't have violence, tell me right now, because I can't think of one.
No, I can't honestly think of one either, because like really Dota and League were the two that I had in mind. But once you start thinking about like, oh yeah, it says like pentakill and all these things, like, yeah, they don't want that kind of stuff. So
Well, I mean,
I guess the only way that they could really do it is if they changed the wording and stuff in those. Like, they could, I guess, make like an Olympic version that has like adjusted language in it or
and
something.
I bet you Riot has already mentioned that and probably built a prototype for the Olympic Committee to say, hey, look, we can do it. I bet you that's already been a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it's not even just the Olympic Committee, and they're super strict, which is weird because they also have boxing, which is violent.
No, like they have like skeet shooting, they have boxing, they have karate, like they have stuff that like has levels of like violence to it. I mean,
which is why I could see Street Fighter being a potential.
No, I could see fighting
Smash
games
Brothers
being potentials, because you could just say like, oh, it's similar to
it's just boxing.
this, just
right.
I don't even need to remove the blood technically, because in boxing you bleed.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So there is a bit of like double standard from the Olympic Committee, but like,
Yeah.
I just looking at from they look at video games already. They're older folk. They already don't have video games in a good light, likely.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll tell you, the only reason they want video games right now is because their numbers are dropping.
Yeah, and because esports are on the rise tremendously.
I didn't watch the Olympics last year, mostly because Canada the NHL didn't allow any of their players to play in the Olympics. So Canada, we had to send our B team, and I think we still got third. So get wrecked. It was either third or fourth.
That's you guys with hockey. That's us with basketball.
Yeah. I don't know. Canadian team just won, so.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We got LeBron, man.
Yeah, fair. No, that's fair. But so it's like I didn't watch it at all, right?
Yeah.
I didn't care. And it used to be a huge thing that everyone here got together and watched. So you put that in there though, I might watch. I'm not buying a cable subscription to watch it, but
same.
I'll find a way to watch it. So if they can do it right, then I think it'll definitely help their numbers. But Yeah, so I think that you just have to realize, yeah, they're going to be extra picky with what they're putting in there. They need to
Hmm.
understand the scene. They need to understand what they're getting by putting a game into that. But yeah, that was just my initial thought is that, there, I thought this was so long, like a year ago, even too. I'm like, people were talking about doing, actually, I was talking to another organizer who wanted to do a um, like a World Cup kind of thing. And I mentioned, hey, I think that's a good idea. I'm just wondering if that'll be a thing, knowing the Olympics are on this now. I feel like a lot of large devs, like Riot, Psyonix, Valve, all those guys are going to want
Yeah.
to put their plates into the Olympic Committee and say, hey, what do you think of this dinner? So I, I believe that maybe could have been a thing. I don't know, but that could have been a thing where he's like he wanted to
No.
do it and wasn't
It.
allowed to.
I definitely could see how it could be. I mean, it's just. I think it's a little bit of a loss for the scene because League of Rockets brought something special to the scene, like how Sunless Khan is so popular because he brings like this storytelling aspect. That's what League of Rockets is. They brought this storytelling aspect to it, and they brought this. They were able to kind of create this narrative that was just like it
Yeah.
was kind of awe inspiring, and it was just really cool. And I'm gonna miss it.
Yeah, no, honestly, they were really fun. I like the fact that he was able to, it was all edited in post. It was all
Yeah,
pre-recorded and sent out afterwards. And the fact that you knew that made it really sick. I
yeah,
think you can get a lot of that cool narrative now with like the RLCS and stuff because like one of the things we do so much is like we're sitting down, we're pre-planning all our meetings to for our pre-shows and that to figure out what stories we need to tell in that. Obviously
yeah.
it's not with the same production
Oh, I mean,
like the production value is good, but
y'all are
it's
doing it
not in
live
game.
half the time though. You're
Yeah,
not doing
it's
it
not
like you're not holding on to this video and then releasing it.
it's not in game production value, right? But so we're you know we're planning a lot of that, so the narratives are generally pretty well thought out. I'd love to do more,
Yeah,
actually I saw him in chat too, but Lawler actually, when he did his stuff on like Fireburner and stuff, those are really fun and heartfelt segments, and if we
yeah.
could do those with like some more production value, I think we can fill a bit of that missing piece that League of Rockets
Bring some
is
of that heart back into it.
yeah, exactly. So I feel like we can fill that, and I'm just excited to see what Nick's going to be able to do with his
All this
um
free time he's gonna have
yeah,
now.
yeah, well, it's with just his the freedom. Now he's
Yeah,
got like, okay, I've released myself from that. I have this creative freedom. Go get the pupper. Creative freedom to just let myself go again and not worry about stress of what I can and can't do. And so it'll be cool to see what he brings to it. But you're right. I think we'll miss what he's able to do for a bit. But I do feel like we have the talent in the scene, not even just at the RLCS level, but just in the community. We have the talent to be able to create that kind of stuff.
yeah. Community is super dedicated. I think we'll figure
Yeah.
out something to do with it all. But you got anything else you want to add on that one?
Not really. It's just, yeah, sad to see him. Best of luck to Nick and everything he does going forward.
All right, moving on to the next one. The winners of the WGN LAN this weekend were Bullsen, consisting of Stokely, Com, and Dino. I was about to say Dino. RBG took second, with Noble and Linked Up taking third and fourth places. You were there. How was it?
I was there. You're right. So, okay, first off, in case she's watching, I doubt she is. Um, uh, no offense to her, but I was so mad that first day because the makeup lady made me look like a goddamn drag queen. Sorry if I'm not allowed to swear, but I had to on that
No, I gotta go take a look now.
one. Oh, it was so bad, dude. Uh, I don't know why. At the beginning, she put on, she was just maybe she was just, she usually does weddings, and she did great with Marissa, right? But it's like I feel like she forgot she was dealing with dudes, and she put on mascara, she put on lipstick, and everything on everybody. I wiped all that crap off immediately. No, that ain't me. But I couldn't get it all right. Like the blush and shading she had and contouring she had done on the cheeks
Yeah.
made it look bad right off the bat. You can
I
see
gotta
it.
go take a look now.
Yeah, look at Subi was another one that was kind of done up like I was, but you can see the kind of the deeper the blackness in the eyes because of the mascara and all that. And
he had some raccoon eyes.
Yeah, I was so livid that first day. And the next day I sat down, I'm like, just give me powder, give me foundation and powder, give me the under eye and the powder, and then I'm out of here.
Just make it basic, please.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to look like a drag queen again. Like, you know, that's to each their own, right? Like, I don't care. It's just I'm not a drag queen. That's not my style, right? So I didn't need that for a Rocket League cast.
No, I don't think anybody.
Maybe when I do my drag shows, sure.
Once you hop into that business.
Yeah, I'm hiring you.
Once you've washed your hands of esports.
Yeah, right. That's the next step. Yeah, no, I was not happy. But after that, you know, once I got casting, it was really fun.
Once you got inside the event, we're doing stuff. You're like, oh yeah, this is actually nice.
Yeah, so it was good. It was fun. You know, it was the first time kind of getting back to casting for me. A little rough at the beginning, just had to kind of work back into it. But
yeah,
it was great. Just, you know, having for me at the beginning it was rough because I'm like, I don't know a lot of these guys, and I expected, you know, there to be some gameplay where it's like, and I felt like I was too critical because I go into it expecting a certain amount of gameplay.
Well, that's what you see all the time. So it's it's kind of normal. You're going from comparing this like grade A gameplay, and you're kind of lowering the bar a little bit. And I'm not saying you're dropping it a whole lot, like not trying to be mean to the players or anything, but like it is a lower level of play, and like it is something that I think throws a lot of people off.
So for me, it's like I was on color the entire time, right? I didn't really do much play by play, so I was on color the whole time. But I found a lot of my color was me being very critical, not critical, but instead of saying why that goal was good going in, I said what the defense could have done better to stop it. But I feel like that was less of just me, you know, being critical and just the fact that, you know, okay, I'm used to a certain level of defense and I didn't see it there. But on the opposite side of that, I was genuinely surprised by quite a couple teams and a couple plays specifically. I mean, you can hear it in my voice. If you look up one of the clips, it was Jordan and oh shoot, who was with him? Jordan, Trey, and who was it there? Why am I forgetting?
I'm trying to remember who it was. Let me take a look. I have it pulled up here.
I literally posted the clip with his name in it too. I don't know. I forgot that.
Jordan, Trey, Rodoko.
Rodoko, yeah. Rodoko's literally from my hometown. I'm sorry, Rodoko. I actually didn't know that before. Apparently, yeah, he's in Kitchener. I didn't know that.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but Rodoko went up, got a flip reset, but the flip reset passed the ball over to Jordan on the backboard, and Rodoko kept falling, and then he flipped forward while Jordan passed it, and then got a goal with the flip reset off the pass off the backboard. And I freaked out. You can hear it in my voice. Yeah. I'm like, that is insane. So there were what I then realized, you know what? I don't care if, like, you know, overall the teams are less cohesive than the RLCS players. What that does is allows for those plays to happen. You get really cool plays because there's a little less pressure and they have a little more time to think.
Well, and that was the team that came through the live qualifier too.
Yeah.
So they didn't even make it through the traditional means that these other teams did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they made it through and they're just ready to pop off. But what's cool is, you know, at that level, they're given that kind of space to do that. And to me, that's really cool because, like, that's some fun Rocket League. I realized, you know what, this isn't for the RLCS, cup.
No, watching Twitch chat was like, eventually I just turned it off because I was like, you guys just don't even understand this.
Yeah. You know what else is real? We need a name for the RLCS Cup. Do we have a name? I don't think we have a name for
the trophy?
Yeah, for the trophy.
Oh.
Because I think of every other sport and they have one, right? Like the Stanley Cup and
I guess it would just be the RLCS Cup. I'm not
it's just RLCS Cup?
I'm trying to think of like what you would call it.
I'm gonna suggest that to Sonics.
Yeah, you have that direct line. Just go tell them, like, let's come up with a name.
Yeah. No, I think that actually be a good idea because then, you know, it's like the glory of that cup, right?
Yeah. No, it's such a cool trophy, and like now that you say it, like we don't have a name for it.
You're right. It's not. Sorry. Yeah, not a cup, a trophy. But yeah, we need. Yeah, I think we need it for it. Anyways, as I was saying, yeah, this isn't for, you know, all the marbles. We can have fun here. So I started remembering that level of gameplay is really fun. And then Bull Send really made me realize that it's all about fun. You know,
Yeah.
those guys comms up there. Um, were not. It was so cool watching them. I already talked to them and I said this to their faces too. But I think their style worked really well here because it was composed. They played slow. They knew when to back off. It reminded me of a season 3 Envy. Like the
Oh
like
yeah.
Diva, where they seemed fast because they played slow. And then when their opponents sped it up, they knew their opponents would lose a bit control, so they could just go up for 50s, and they matched that pace, won the 50s, and then slowed the pace back down. So the composure was really really cool. I loved what Bolsen did. Now we'll see if that keeps up going into
RLRS
yeah.
plans.
Well, no, even DreamHack. Um,
Oh
I
yeah,
think
because they get to go to
oh
DreamHack now. I totally forgot about that.
yeah, RLR's plans. I have no doubt they're in for sure. Bullsend is going to make it for sure. That's not the problem. What's crazy also is they formed 3 weeks before that tournament too.
No,
They're
they
yeah,
formed very recently whenever they
yeah.
like made the team. So
Hmm. Yeah, so I think they're fine for RLRS. They'll make it into rivals, no problem. But the Dream Hack is where they're gonna feel it. They're gonna get smacked around a little bit. And I told them that, and I'm like, do you guys have a plan for when all of a sudden your composure gets wrecked because you're all demoed on the field? Do you have a
yeah.
plan for when all your pass plays get intercepted or you don't have enough space for a flip reset? Because you're gonna have to plan for that, right?
Yeah.
They're given a bit more space to actually think on the field. But what happens when that guy is you're shadowing someone, knowing they're going to give you the ball, but then all of a sudden one of those opponents comes out and demos you, and now you don't have possession. Instead of a 50-50, you just got demoed. Now they still have possession and they can score, and you're down a man, right? Like so, I'm excited what you guys did, but this is going to be
You
it'll be
have some
challenging.
work to do.
Yeah, just because you guys looked really good here doesn't mean you're going to do really good there. But I believe they're going to have a good attitude, and that's the
Yeah.
important thing, right? The
No, and
important thing.
like those guys have always had a pretty good attitude. Like Stokely, he's a pretty positive guy and stuff. So
Yeah,
definitely, definitely interested to see what they do in that regard.
yeah. No, I think it's just all three of those guys really well. I mean, I hung out with them afterwards too. Really, all great guys, and all seem super happy. The fact that they were able to maintain that positive attitude 2 days in a row is really important.
Yeah.
The fact that it wasn't just a one day thing, they could continue just having fun. Then I think that's something they're going to maintain over a long time.
Yeah. So what is just a quick question off of this though, and then we can move on to the next one. But what is your general thought after getting a nice look at some of the bubble scene? What are some of your thoughts of the bubble scene as it's gradually improved?
It's getting better. Like I mean, like the skill depth is definitely there. Like there are good players all over the place. I think you're going to see. I don't think the rival scene is still nowhere near done with crazy roster shuffles. You're still
No, I don't think so
after
either.
after next scene, you're still going to see a ton of people shuffling, a ton of full teams disband,
Yeah.
reform as other things. Like it's not done yet. A lot of people are still trying to find. A lot of people are still getting better, and they're still understanding what they need to do to be good, and they're also still trying to find that synergy. So it's still going to take more seasons, but you already have a lot. Like the skill gap individually has lessened huge now. I mean,
Yeah.
like the individual skill of these players are near the top guys. The difference is their decision making as a team, their communication, and just that overall synergy of understanding what your teammates are doing, their intentions on the field,
Yeah.
and how to work with that. So we'll see a couple more teams, really form together this one that are gonna stick together with maybe one player change for the next season, but a lot of them you'll still see full disband and then come back together um, uh, in in the seasons afterwards. But it's getting a lot better. The fact that individual skill is there means that it's going to get scarier and scarier as it goes on. But
Yeah.
those top
Mechanically, it's
teams,
gotten crazy.
those top teams though are still continuing to work on their synergy. So
Yeah.
the bubble scene is still and almost always will be a bit behind. I think the biggest thing right now to look at the rival series as is you might have one or two teams that are really good and can work their way up through relegation, but the biggest thing is going to be scouting opportunities for those top teams. If
Yeah.
someone on your team in the RLCS starts falling off, well, now you got some scouting opportunities.
You have a
You see
huge
guys play.
pool of players right here to take a look
Uh-huh.
at.
Look at
Yeah.
the last few people that have made it into the RLCS,
Yeah.
recently. That I mean, just the two that come off the top of my head is like Justin and Astral.
Mm-hmm.
Where were they before? I mean, everyone's known their names,
Yeah.
but they weren't a hardcore crazy force to be reckoned with on the teams they were with. But
Yeah.
the top teams recognized where that talent needed to fit and how they could work with that talent, and they melded them into their styles, and now those players are going to thrive, right? And I
Yeah.
think it's going to be the same for a lot of the guys in the rival series. It'd be really cool to see teams like Bullsend stick together and like grow and learn what they need to do. And I feel like with their communication, they're going to do a really good job of that. I think that team has the most close to the top of the most potential out of all the rivals teams in NA, at least, to stick together and be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
But I feel like some of the other teams will just be like, oh, hey, this player gets picked off and brought up to the RLCS.
Yeah, and I think that that's probably the greatest thing about the RLRS is it acts as that beautiful player pool for you to choose from. And like you're saying, Astral and Justin, like them coming up, like they have like been pretty awesome. Astral only recently, but like still, even seeing him at BTS, I was pretty amazed at like how good he actually was. I was like, okay, like how have I not heard of you before?
Yeah.
And I think
Well,
I think you are gonna have a couple other players who are gonna come up like that, who you're just gonna be like, where have you been all this time?
Yep. Well, back in the day, when it came to making RLCS teams, it was a lot about nepotism, right? It was
Yeah.
just like, oh, you know what? I know this guy. This guy is actually better than you, but I know you. Why don't you come play with me? And the other two were strong enough to carry that person, right?
Yeah.
Like no offense, I love Sis, but like that's probably a really good example, right? It's your friends are playing, you're pretty good, but your friends are really good. They
Yeah.
can carry you for a bit, right? But it starts to get to the point where that doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And you start to really recognize which players don't kind of fit in at just skill level anymore, in that at the top level. So you're starting to see teams actually look at prospects in the lower leagues, like the rival series, and any of these other tournaments. Dream hacks are a really good way to do it too. But
Oh yeah.
you start to see real decisions being made about players now. It is getting a lot more professional. When
Slowly
it
but
comes to
surely.
roster change. Yeah, when it comes to roster changes, you're seeing that for sure now.
You got anything else you want to add on this one?
Not too much, I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Let's move on to the next one. The first tournament back in OCE for Drippe, and he plays with the Chiefs roster. That team consisting of CJ, and Express. They won their tournament. It was the frequency qualifier, and they took down the Renegades roster in a 4-2 grand final series. Which after talking a little bit about Drippe moving back to OCE last week on our show, and then seeing that news, I got really excited because I was like, okay, he's making his comeback. He's coming back strong.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, is it official that he's going to be playing?
It's not official what team he's going to. Nothing's been made official yet. And on his Twitter, he still has himself, like his banner is still of him with the EG. So they didn't say they were fully releasing him. They just said he's moving back to OCE. So we don't there's not been enough information for us to know where things are going with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Just that he's back in OCE. So I guess we'll see.
What roster was Renegades playing with?
Team Renegades. Oh, that team. I don't know who they were using this week for that tournament. I have no clue.
Yeah.
I only was able to. Oh, hang on.
I didn't know if they had dropped Zen.
It was Sicky, Bad Beat, and Kami.
Oh, so they've Oh, unless that was just for that tournament, I guess. Yeah.
Because Zen was on that team, so Zen was swapped out for Bad Beat.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're all over the place. Honestly,
Yeah.
OC is honestly a mess.
No,
The
I'm
second
with you.
when Drippe left, it's like he's probably just like, "I'm sorry, children, I am back. I am here
He's
to
like,
fix
I'm
everything I
here
messed up."
to wreak havoc again.
Yeah, no, he's there to fix things. Everything fell apart when he left. It was not good. Like
He's here to be the rock for all of them.
You lose arguably one of the greatest players, or the greatest player in your entire region.
Yeah.
Right, and then
by a pretty long margin, I would say too.
I mean, all of the original Chiefs eventually left. I mean, Jake went over to TSM to coach, right? Right. And then Drippe is like, "See ya, I'm out. I'm over to a different region." And then all you're left with is Torsas in the region. I know Kami was a really good player as well, and Yummy Cheeseman would argue he's the best in OC. But
okay.
I would still say Drippe had issues mixing in with
the I think it was just the North American play style. I think it's just such different play.
I think it was just E play style.
Do what?
But really, I feel like Drippe could have fit in some other teams, but there's no place for him in other teams.
Yeah.
All the other teams are pretty solid right now in NA. So again, Ghost was kind of the only other question maybe he could have moved over to, but yeah, no, moving back to OC I think is going to do wonders for the region. You're going to see there's just more talent in the region, which means more better teams. Not good English, but you know that's
we forgive you for it.
Thanks. So yeah, no, I think him moving back is good. I mean, like you see it sucks for him, sucks for EG, but he's back now. You see winning now. Like I any team he's on is gonna do really good. First or second seed guaranteed in my mind.
No, I almost feel the same way just because he is such a dominant player in that region, and doing like even fantasy Rocket League stuff, like he always was just like way and above top player in the scoreboards. Mm-hmm. If you included OCE in, like he always was just at the top, like with monstrous points. So I was like,
the other thing is he's now got all that experience coming over to NA, right? He's played with the big boys. He's played with everyone. He's guaranteed he saved the replays. Guaranteed he's.
He left with a lot of knowledge from this. Yeah. So he's gonna now have an idea of like how you should play against at least North American teams. And what they look to do. Well,
that's it. And like the North American team, the North American style right now is like arguably the most dominant. I mean, like
it's very aggressive.
There's like what one team for me in EU that's like maybe two, I guess now with Frontline and Vitality, but like Vitality even has issues with consistency. I'd say Frontline's the most consistent in EU now. But the fact that the most consistent teams in EU are inconsistent on who's consistent is a problem. North America is so consistent.
Yeah.
Right? And now North America is so consistently better than EU. So arguably NA is the best style. And if that's what Drippe is bringing back to OCE, that's going to help them a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering, I'm curious to see how it's going to impact the rest of the region in terms of the play style that they all do. Because I wonder if he's almost going to like kind of change the meta for them. So it'll be really interesting to kind of see how things play out for them as league play for season 8 comes around.
Yeah, no, I'm really interested to see if OCE can kind of recoup, get themselves back together, because I think
this last Worlds, they took a beating.
They were in one of the worst states, and we knew that. We knew that coming into this. We're like they're in one of the worst states they've been in since being introduced.
Yeah.
In season 3 to into the RLCS. So I really want them to get back into shape. Sam we knew would be rough because it's the same thing that happened to OCE.
Well, it's also their first time.
Sam looked better than OCE did in their first season.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And now OCE's back down into what they were looking like basically in their second season in the RLCS. So like it was rough. So I'm hoping that they can pull it back together.
Yeah. You got anything else you want to add on this one? We're gonna go into our Our final one's kind of meh. We can skip over it.
I don't think I have much more on that. Just like, again, I'm hoping just for the sake of just Rocket League in general, the OC can pull it together because I want all of these regions to thrive.
No,
First off,
same.
the more regions that thrive means the more regions that get added. So then it's like, I mean, I would assume that's the way I would look at it if I was Sonics, is like, okay, if these guys are all doing good, that means what if we add this region and this region and they're good? But if they continually add regions and they're not good, it's really hard to
Yeah, it makes
say, well, we
Worlds a
want to
little more
fund that.
lackluster.
Well, there's
Like,
that because it's supposed to be the best of the best, and it's
yeah,
hard to want to fund something that isn't going to deliver on what you're buying. Essentially, you're
yeah,
buying teams to put on a show, and if they're not putting on a show, is that money well spent, right? So it's like the more these two regions do well, the SAM and OCE, the more I would think that other regions will get looked at, right? So
mm-hmm.
I want them because the more regions in, the more friends I get to see. It's
Well, I
really
just, I just, I want to see them improve just to make a more competitive Worlds. I think a lot of people were kind of let down by the fact that it was an All NA EU final bracket, and so I'm hoping that this next run around we see uh, some more competition in those earlier in the first 2 days of it with those group setups and everything. So I'm hoping that this is a little bit of a reset, a little bit of a wake up call that OCE needed, and I guess we'll just kind of see how it pans out.
Mm-hmm.
But just gonna say it real fast. Our final bit of news was just Rocket Pass 4 has been released and Season 12 has begun. Go out, do your placements, but just know that you might end up in a crummy situation.
Don't remind me.
Leaf is our little example here.
I don't
But now
want
we're gonna go on. We're gonna go on to our next segment, and this one we can kind of like blaze through, so we can just go through the freewheeling segment. We'll just extend the show a little bit, just so we can kind of have more conversation, because this is good, I think. We're gonna go into the roster shuffle. So our first deal is our previous guest Kairos, he has now joined Low Key Esports as their new coach, which I mean we're super happy for him. Like we had him on the show, I think like couple weeks ago, so he told me about it, so I kind of knew it was coming.
So I'm going to tell you right now, again, like this was one of my reintroductions into some of the bubble level players, and I actually have no idea on Kairos' playstyle. I don't think I've ever seen him play before.
Yeah, I mean, he's been helping coach Buddy and Garen. He was helping coach those two.
Okay.
So
I just don't know what play style he brings to them then.
I think it's a little bit more of kind of the same for them. I think like what he's gonna be trying to do is bring them a little more organization rather than going for that kind of ball chasey play style that Sam goes for.
Yeah.
Try to bring some of that aggressive but organized play style to them.
It's hard because like so I'm just gonna check their active squad right now is Card, Tander, and Chow. Okay, I don't know Chow at all, but or Kyle. I don't know how you say it. I'm thinking Italian, but Card and Tander are incredible players.
They were
already.
crazy.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that I'm sorry if it's saying wrong. Kyle Chow. However you say it. I feel like he's going to be probably their anchor, and I'm hoping Kairos probably tries to set that he sits back, he fills in the blanks, allows Tander and Card to be that offense to set up those plays and plays as your third man, unless he's a really good playmaker as well. You could send him in as the guy to set up a play for Carter Tander and have one of those three rotate as third man, but I feel like Chow's going to be the anchor.
Yeah, I think until we kind of see some of his play style, it's going to be kind of hard call because I don't think I've seen him play.
Yeah, so I'm sure Kairos is going to look at that too, and he knows that Card and Tander are kind of the star players on that team, and they'll be.
I mean, you got Card and Tander are both crazy players. So
that's skill that you don't want to put to the back line as much. It's like imagine saying Justin is now your defensive player. You need him up there on the offense.
Exactly.
To be able to solo player you need. So I feel like that's going to be Kairos' biggest, like, coming from a, just American NA,
Yeah.
is he knows that play style. He knows the way things work here. So he'll probably introduce that. I think you're right that he's going to bring a lot of structure. I don't
Yeah.
mind the ball chasing. Like, ball chasing still really works. Like, that's
No,
actually
it does.
part of
It
the meta
does.
now. But
Especially if you can like maintain a really high pace with it, I think it works
yeah,
really well. But
so
I think if you can add that level of organization to it to kind of bring in the team play aspect, I think it really changes and elevates you to a certain degree.
yeah, no. So that team has that team definitely will. If Kairos does it right, that team has the potential
Yeah.
to up their skill and like really contest, like take a series off of fourth seed NA
Yeah.
kind of team. Maybe more. I don't want to say more than that, but like
It's
they
kind of
have.
like after watching this last World, it's kind of hard to want to say too much, like give too much positivity yet, just because it's like,
I mean, like, what did they come close to? They come close to beating NRG, but that was only after they
well,
had
Loki was in the group with Cloud9 and PSG. No, Cloud9 and Triple Trouble.
both teams popped off one day after the other, but like NRG got brought to a game 5
Yeah,
by
against
one of the
INTZ.
yeah, it was INTZ, and then uh, so I think that was also because of they got froze a bit just because the controller issue, and
Yeah.
they got turbo now. I don't really see that happening again.
I'm excited to see NRG continue to develop with that trade, by the way.
No, yeah. No, it's only good, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah, I think so too.
Turbo's arguably a better fire burner.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Moving on to our next one, Ty Not Tyler joins Prime Thunder. Some of these, by the way, are just going to be RLRS play-in groups, so take some of them with a grain of salt on whether you think they're important or not. But Ty Not Tyler joins Prime Thunder and Soul Flares on Pink Hair Fan Club. They're going to be competing under that name for RLRS play-ins.
They've been playing before together, too, right?
Yeah, I can't remember who Prime Thunder played with last season under this name.
So active right now is Prime, Soul, and Ty. They had Matt before.
Yeah, I think it was Prime and Soul with Matt. I think Ty's the only replacement they're going with.
Is Ty new to it?
To this team, yeah.
Okay.
To this team, yeah. I'm pretty sure he's the only new one. If I recall correctly, it was just Prime, Soul, Matt.
Yeah, Matt leaves March 21st, August 24th. Ty joins. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Ty's still pretty good. I haven't seen Matt play in a while. I feel like I think it's probably an upgrade for sure.
I
Prime
think so too.
to me is still like that kid is so good, man. Like
He's
Prime,
so good, and that's why it's like I want to see him actually like find success this RLRS season.
This will be one of those teams that I mentioned before that either finally finds their footing, not this season but the next season with another roster change, or Prime gets picked up into a roster in RLCS that's desperately in need, right? Like Prime has that potential. So as long as NA teams are doing what the EU teams are doing and looking at everything very like professionally right now, you're gonna have as long as Prime keeps it up, I don't see Prime not eventually getting.
I think eventually he will find his way back. I think it's just gonna be, just kind of putting it down on the grindstone, just moving along as best you can.
Yeah, because he was with who before when he was in?
He was with Wonder and AJ. Kronovi replaced him.
Yes, that's what it was. FlyQuest. Wait, how many teams? Oh, okay, never mind. I was looking at it backwards. Yeah, because he was FlyQuest before, so he had the experience. I don't see him not making it back, and I think he just needed a bit of. Well, again, you even check it as like some people questioned whether it was Wonder or Prime that should have been removed, right?
Yeah, a lot of people were really uncertain about that trade, but I mean, fourth at Worlds, it kind of worked out okay.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, like they're doing great. Kronovi fitting into the mix helped a lot because it was just a really smart move to get Crow on regardless.
He just has so much experience behind him to bring on, and I mean, he just has a good level of leadership too.
Yeah, no, I think Prime will find his way back through, whether it's with this team or another. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I see. I haven't seen enough of Soul, to be honest.
See, I haven't seen enough of him either. I just because they didn't even make it far enough to get streamed last season for RLRS plans. I think they were in the bracket. They lost to the number 1 seed, Sway Esports. And then after that, I can't remember how far they got in the lower bracket, but they didn't even make it to the stream point. So like they missed it by a good bit.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be a bit different roster by the time we see Prime make it back into the RLCS. These guys should put up a definite fight. Out of all the teams I've seen going into this for NA, these guys will put up a fight for sure. Like out of more so than most other teams.
Yeah, I think with the addition of Ty Tyler, I think they've got something on their hands here.
Yeah.
I wasn't entirely sure with like last season with Matt. Like I didn't count them as one of my teams that I thought was going to make it through. Moving on to the next one. This one coming from EU. iGnite, Tigray, and Extra are going to be teaming up under the name Fadeaway. Tigray and iGnite, both pretty solid players. And then Extra, I don't know who he is. I don't know anything about this guy.
I feel like I've seen Extra play before, not much. Again, my EU knowledge is less so, but I definitely feel like I've seen Extra.
I'm trying to work on my EU knowledge. That one's a little bit harder for me to study up.
Yeah, I'm just seeing who he's played for before. Okay, so he was recently to this on Baguette Squad, but I feel like we've had 40 different Baguette Squad teams. So he's on. This is Fadeaway now, yeah. Before that was Exalti. Yeah, he's been playing with a lot of different players that I don't really know as much. So I feel like this is another one of those pickups that in plays that we'll see. It's like the Violent Panda picking up Astral kind of situation.
Yeah, a lot of people were very uncertain about that pickup.
Yeah, but I think it's going to work really well for them. So
no, I think so too.
I think same thing here. I mean, honestly, the biggest question marks still at this level at I see like iGnite was the biggest question mark in the RLCS level. Rival Series level, he's definitively like above that.
No, I think like if iGnite and Tigray see something in Extra, I think you can bet this is going to be a pretty good team.
I just want iGnite really take this opportunity to work on consistency. I love the dude too. Like iGnite's a great guy, and I want him at more lands because that means I get to hang out with him. I just think
I get to see him more.
Yeah, exactly. I just think he had some consistency issues before, where he very, very fast player that generated a lot of offense. But the issue is some days he just wasn't feeling it. I don't know if he was just feeling slower, couldn't find his footing, couldn't get boosts so he could get up there quicker, or some of his touches were just weak. There was a couple things here and there that kind of broke apart how fast he was feeling some days. So I think this should be a team that allow him to try to get back to those roots, because there's less pressure at this point too, right? To perform. Maybe for him, there's a lot of pressure because, it's like, well, I got to prove on this team that I'm still really good and I can carry. I think for him though, just knowing who he is, I feel like this is a really good chance for him to get back to his roots and understand who he is and why he enjoys Rocket League. So playing with Tigray and Extra, I think is going to be really fun for him. And that's going to be very dangerous for his opponents.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, again, it's just one of those teams and that's the hardest part right now is so many of these teams they're forming, and it's like, okay, and that's like the meme on the RL Esports subreddit too. Is just like, oh, this team could do some damage, but it's just like until you see some results, it's so hard to really say too much about some of these teams. As people who actually watch some of these teams and stuff, it's really hard for me to want to give credit to someone until I actually see, oh, you've actually done something as a team. Cool, you have some results I can look at and gauge you off of.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, no, it'll. I think they'll contend for sure. But looking at all the EU ones, there are actually a lot of good rivals level teams.
Yeah. So I know in our show notes here it says that one, we're going to skip past it to go with that one first, and then we'll go back to it. So Thunda, Buddy, and Turinturo join Nefarious alongside Garen. Um, this Thunda and Buddy were with Democat
Yeah.
for WGN, so bit of a shakeup there.
Yeah. So I actually was there. So I want to talk about this real quick.
No, go for it. You'd
Uh,
mentioned it beforehand, so I wanted to hear your
yeah.
thoughts on this.
So this was in. So what happened was immediately. So we all went out after the whole event. We all went out to a place called Rec Room. It's a big like barcade. We were just hanging out. We all had dinner together. A lot of the players and I and all the casters are old men, so they all stayed inside. I was the only one that went out. And then I although my body still deals with going out like an old man.
Yeah,
I
you,
feel it
you
for sure.
feel
But,
you feel it the next day.
yeah, but I refuse to be old. Damn it, so I'm going out. So yeah, no, I went out, so we're chilling, and at one point, so Demo got there late, and he came in, and right when he sat down and he went over to the group, Buddy and Thunda started talking to him and just started telling him, hey, we don't think it's going to work with you on the team right away, just right there in person. To me, first off, I think it was super respectable that they just did that in person right there.
Yeah,
They
like
said, you know what?
while you're able to actually be face to face with a person, because
they
that's
could've
hard too.
Yeah, they could have easily waited to go home and then just had one of them deal with it at some point or whatever, and like, or got on voice and then said, "Hey, this is it," and then they could hang up, leave the call, and don't have to deal with repercussions. By
Yeah.
doing this, they put themselves in a situation where they had to face it. They had to deal with it. Two things that are good with that: one, it's just it takes balls, and a lot of the other players
for
were
sure.
coming up to me and they're like, "Oh man, I could never do that," and I'm like, "No, but you should do that." Because that is the best, is the hardest way to do it. It is also therefore the most respectable way to do it. And the second thing is, when you're face to face with someone, there's less chance for you to get mad and misinterpret. You now have to deal with the situation and talk to each other.
You have to go through and verbally explain it to the
Yeah,
person.
and you're gonna have less chance now of someone going online and just ranting right away on Twitter and causing more drama.
Yeah, causing misunderstandings and all this.
It's the same thing about breaking up with someone. You do it in person. Don't.
Oh yeah,
In
yeah.
worst case, if you have to, do it in voice. Never over text. But if you can
No.
do it in person, do it in person. So to me, it was super respectable that Buddy talked the most from what I saw. But then Demo obviously was very clearly kind of distraught. Like, well,
I mean,
what?
it's upsetting. It's not what you want to hear.
And so he was just upset at the beginning, but he sat there for the whole time and talked with Buddy. Him and Demo and Buddy sat there the whole time talking to each other.
That's good.
Demo could have himself just been like, well, screw this, and left and just gone away, right? During that dinner, so they were talking before the dinner, talked a bit during dinner. During the dinner, at one point, I even saw all three of them laughing about something together. And then afterwards, they started talking about it a little bit more. And then for the rest of the night, like they, some people hung out a bit more. Some people went back to the hotel. Eventually, when I got back to the hotel, I saw them in the lobby, all just hanging out still. All of them were still hanging out, just chilling. They weren't even talking about it anymore. They were just chilling. And to me, that was the most respectable thing. They understood, all three of them, and as much as it sucked for Demo, all three of them understood that this was a business decision. This was something that they felt for that team wasn't working, and they had to, that was the final call, that this is it.
Yeah.
But they still knew that there were all people that liked each other and could sit back and talk, chat, have fun, and still be people together, regardless of what just happened for that roster. So honestly, I just wanted to give huge shout outs to all three of them, Demo, Buddy, and Thunda, for how they handled a roster breakup like that.
Like that's super professional.
We've seen a lot of people recently. We've seen some issues that honestly our scene's been pretty good. I think the only real drama we've seen has been Triple Trouble, But
Yeah,
beyond that,
that's the only one that's like been really bad, I
yeah, any
think.
other drama has not been bad. Any other drama has been um, uh, just your standard Twitter drama. The guys
Yeah.
don't actually hate each other, but to me, this is one of the most refreshing situations, knowing that hey, look, these guys know how to deal with the situation without a coach involved, without a third party. They dealt with it really well. So I just want to give
Yeah.
huge respect to all three of those
No, and
players.
like that's the cool thing too though is because like we've only seen like the triple trouble type stuff. Like you don't hear or see about the teams that actually end on peaceful terms for the
Yeah,
most part. Like so like no, it's really cool that you shared that because like that's just it's nice. Like I think that they totally deserve credit on that. Like that's such a mature way to handle it. And I mean, and that's the other thing too is like so many of the people in the scene they're so young. Like they don't
mhm.
understand. Like yeah, at the end of the day, like these are just business decisions, and like like we don't have anything against you as a person. Like at the end of the day, like we're not jiving as a team, and like that just has to be said. And so I mean, like that makes me more of a fan of these three to know
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they handled it with a good level of
and the
professionalism.
best way to avoid people feeling like it is a personal thing is to do it in person, because then you can see their
No, like
emotions, you
that's
can see their
exactly
body
it.
language, you can see how they're dealing with this thing, and you can
Yeah.
adjust how you're talking to them appropriately.
And
So
it takes balls too. I mean, doing like a breakup in person, doing something like that in person, like it takes balls. It's hard to do, man.
yeah, so what I just want to say is other teams do that. If you can do it in person. If not, do it in voice. But
Yeah.
just understand that it's a business thing. I mean, like, you guys are trying to make a team to
Yeah.
succeed and to be a professional team. You need to be professional about it. It doesn't mean that it's personal. You can still like someone. Think about this. I'm still friends with all my exes because
Yeah.
I was friends with them in the first place. I played with those guys and hung out with them in the first place. That's not going to change. I still want to play with you guys online. I just don't think as a team we're going to make it far if we stay this way.
Yeah. That's awesome though. But we're
Yeah,
gonna
I just thought everyone in the scene,
no.
it should hear that.
I think that's gonna be something that everyone's gonna like listen to. Can you turn your face cam on? It is on.
I see you.
But going kind of to the next part of that news though, Democat now joins Infinity UI and Ghost Crash. They are all a part of Upper 90 now for the RLRS season. So those are the two last minute pickups that Democat was able to get to just make the the cutoff deadline. I can't say words.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just glad that Demo was able to jump on another team.
Well, I think that's a respectable thing too, is because them doing it there, they were able to actually like, give him time to actually grab some people.
Well, yeah,
Not
they
a
didn't
whole lot of
wait.
time, but it was people.
Yeah, if they had waited, that would have screwed him over even more. So they
Yeah.
kind of had to do it if they didn't have to, but if they wanted to make sure that they weren't being jerks themselves, they had to do
Mm-hmm.
it there. So another heads up play from Thunder and Buddy to let Demo have that time to find someone else jump on.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not ideal, but it being kicked off a team is never ideal. So
Yeah. No, it never
except for
is.
the team, right? So for you, so I'm glad that he was able to find a team. I don't really know those players too much. I'm not sure how that team's going to do, but
Yeah,
I'm just
they're
glad
not
Demo had
even
someone to play
players that
with.
I'm too familiar with. Ghost Crash, he's pretty decent, but Infinity UI, I can't say I know too much about.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say on that. Just
Yeah.
besides, good the Demo got on a team at least, because at least he has someone to play with.
Yeah. Well, and he's been with Upper 90 for a long time. Like they're invested in Demo. So good that they were able to
Well, that's why
rally
they
a
went
team
with
together.
him, right?
Yeah.
Rather than staying with the other two.
Yeah. Democat's like been the one consistent player on their Upper 90s roster for a long time.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next bit though, Wonder Mike, Vince, and Asfara form Speedy Boys. This team looks to be pretty promising. Wonder Mike pretty solid in ones. Vince, a former RLCS player back in, I can't even remember what season he was in.
That was season 2, wasn't it, or season 1?
Yeah, it was a while back. It was some time ago
Like
for sure.
Hollywood Hammers and like
Yeah.
He's been on a lot of different teams.
And then Oz for another really good player. He's been consistently performing well in our tournaments, so that's going to be a really good team. They're one of the ones that I could actually see making a pretty solid run for RLRS. Don't know if they'll make it, but I think they can make a solid run. Chat. Just Claster things.
Just chilling. Yeah, no, we'll see. I mean, I haven't seen Vince play in forever. I know.
No, I
Vince
haven't
held
either.
the world record for the dribbling challenge, but that's the last accomplishment I've seen from him.
But didn't Sunless Khan take that away from him?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like that's the last accomplishment I've seen from Vince. So I don't know. I don't know if I wouldn't like put my money on them, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got it because they're at 10 spots now in the rivals. So
yeah, it's a huge amount of openings.
Yeah. The next team is the one that I feel like has, so besides Pink Hair Fan Club, I think this next team has the most potential.
You want to go ahead and say it?
Yeah, the Underwater Squad. I mean, like, Bilbo's a guy that you needed to be watching out for a while. We know Ocelon, insane ones player, and just Lottie's just been around for a really long time too,
yeah,
right? Like these guys are all incredibly solid players that have all had the experience of playing in big name tournaments, rival series, all that stuff. They've got experience from all around, so I honestly would not doubt seeing these guys in there. But at the same time, you have situations where Bull Send is beating RBG, so
yeah.
But these guys have the skill to do that and to get into the rival series. The question is, are they going to be able to bring that skill on the day of when it comes down to that final day of getting it? I mean, they got multiple chances, right? But these guys
plans are so brutal though. Like,
they are brutal.
It's such a like topsy-turvy day because you just have no clue which way it's gonna go. There's just it's such a brutal day for so many RL like play-in teams.
It's also really exciting though when you make it.
Oh yeah. Well, as a viewer, it's super exciting. Like, I love, like, even if there's not gonna be a broadcast, like, I'm still gonna be following that bracket like a hawk.
Yeah. No. I think, and the fact that there's 10 teams now is really good. It'll take some of the pressure off, but not all of it. I mean, like, you still got to play really good teams to get in. So
yeah.
But yeah, these three, Bilbo, Aslan, and Lottie, are definitely a team to watch out for. Like, I would not be surprised if these guys are in rival series. If you told me Underwater Squad made it in, I'd be like, oh yeah, of course.
Duh.
Yeah, that's what I see from that team.
And then moving on to our last bit of roster news, Scruff, Delta, and Talon form the team Stonks for RLR's plans.
I'm rooting for them is because of Stonks.
Well, you should root for them because Talon, Scruff, and Delta are actually all really good players. Talon mechanically he's one of the players that, like, I'm almost surprised that an RLRS team or an RLCS team hasn't looked at him because his mechanics are insane. Like, he's good.
I mean, they're not even on Liquipedia.
No, probably not. Like, Talon, every time I see him play,
Talon,
though,
that's about it.
He's just crazy. Every single time. Anytime he comes and joins our tournaments, I'm always blown away by the guy. And then Scruff, he's joined various teams, and, like, he'll just join some random pickup team, and they'll win a tournament. Like, and I feel most of the time it's because of him.
Scruff is the only player that has a Liquipedia page.
Oh.
And it still says he's playing on Sway.
Yeah, he hadn't been with them for a while.
Yeah. No, that's how like who are these guys?
Yeah, they're those guys that, like, if you haven't seen them get results or you haven't seen them play lower down, you're not gonna know too much.
Yeah, I want to see them just because the names, but I really, I'm not gonna lie. This is a team that if you told me they didn't make it in, I'd be like,
who were they anyway?
Who didn't make it in? Yeah, right. Like, it would.
Who are these guys again?
I would never expected them to.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
No offense to them, but good luck. But I wouldn't.
Godspeed to you.
I wouldn't be betting money on them.
But that's gonna do it for the roster shuffle. So we're gonna move on to our freewheeling segment, and we'll just go with like one thing, just because we're running out of time here. But do you pick which one of these you want to talk about, or if you have another one, we can talk about that.
Uh, I don't know. I mean, like, what are you most interested in finding out about? Anything
Mm,
to ask me about my life too, even. I don't care. What do you
oh,
want?
okay, then we'll do that actually. What is it like for you to be doing so many different esports things? Because you produce and host Squad State, you've been
Mhm.
doing RLCS for a good bit of time now, and you, to my recollection from a conversation we had before, like on your stream, you used to TO other games like Smash Brothers and stuff even. So you've done a lot in the esports scene. So I mean, just like kind of
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that.
Which is nuts. So like, I honestly don't like feel like I've done a lot, but when I look at
Yeah.
it like objectively from the outside perspective, it's like, oh, you know, I guess I have been in esports for quite a long
You've
time now.
done you've gotten a lot of stuff under your belt, man.
Yeah. And to me, it's I don't notice, I guess, the time that it has gone into it because I'm always just looking at every project I'm doing is like 100% focused. It's just
Yeah.
the case of my ADHD. Like the thing that's happening right this moment, even in the next week, in the next half a year, is the most important thing that is happening to me ever and will ever happen to me. So everything goes into that. So I forget that multiple of those things have happened.
Yeah.
Um, I'm really good at like zoning in on a project, doing that project, then getting another project and zoning in on that and forgetting about the next one. So it's just like to me, it's all just kind of happened at the same time. But like I guess yeah, it's been over a long time now. It's been nuts the amount of stuff I've learned. Like I mean, like I never ever once in a day in my life thought I'd be on a broadcast. Now when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a weatherman, but like obviously that was when I was like 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah.
You know, it's like one
You
of
don't
those weird.
expect
What do
some
you
of
want to
that
be?
stuff to like
Yeah,
manifest in different ways like this.
I don't. Yeah, I never. I when I got older, I'm like, no, that's not what I want to do. I went to school for computer programming, right? Like,
Yeah.
and like I was playing video games. You know, I was playing Call of Duty like semi-competitively on game battles and stuff, right? That was the extent of like my esports knowledge or dive, right? And I was kind of watching like Halo on TV on ESPN, but that was only just because it was video games on TV. It wasn't because I was
It was
invested
it
in
was just a
esports.
rare thing that you were just like, "Oh, like I've got to watch this. Like
Yeah,
it's here."
I wasn't invested in esports. It was that I was just, oh, video games on TV. That's cool.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I didn't even hear the term esports until years after. So when I, was started running Smash events, even TOing was like an accident. You know, I just was having video games at the bar, so my friends and I could drink beer and play video games. And then all of a sudden,
This is
I
our
ran
excuse. We're running a tournament.
yeah, yeah, no, and I wasn't even running a tournament. We are just hanging out, and then
Yeah.
eventually I decided to run a tournament. Maybe that was that initiative, I guess. But I feel like I got lucky. The fact that my first event I ran was a Smash Brothers tournament. 73 people showed up from like multiple
Oh
cities
wow.
in the area. Like people drove, an hour to 2 hours to come to this, and I'm like, what the? So they talked to me, they sat me down, and told me about the rules, and then I started learning that scene. And then I realized esports isn't just one scene. There's stuff across all
Yeah,
games.
there's a
Yeah,
lot.
and then I was always doing YouTube for fun, right? So it's like I was always kind of like I was used to being in front of camera, but I was always controlling it. So when I got brought on for the RLCS, being in a live environment was scary. It was new. I didn't know anything about what went into a production, right? Like I had no idea how much and how like
How
because the run
intense
a
it can
show.
be.
Well, yeah, because the run a show is literally like minute by minute. You have to run it. So when I got brought on as a host for Squad. It was like that was the first time I understood what it was like to try to run something. I mean, I ran my podcast back in the day too, Rocket League Dojo.
Yeah.
So then I kind of got a feel for how to run things. I always had a good idea of like the flow of things and where things needed to go and conversation.
How to kind of have the showmanship of it
Yeah.
all.
So doing squad, it was Heads Up Daily at that time, but doing that kind of let me work a whole new set of skills. So working the RLCS was like just learning to be in camera. The biggest thing for me was like my body language, learning that. That was something I never had to worry about because when you're at home making YouTube videos, you control every aspect of it. I
Yeah.
can cut and script the way I want. If I didn't like this part, while I'm editing, I'll just go film it again or something.
Yeah, you,
Like
you have all the time in the world to do it. No one's telling
I
you what to
had
do.
full creative control. Where in a live environment, you don't have full creative control because I don't control what that person says, and I have to
Yeah.
learn to be able to adapt to that. So that was tough. And then eventually, I got a hang of that. But then and then I started focusing just on my own voice, my talking, the people I was working with, so I could actually really hone in on the skills. Then I got thrown into, as I said, the hosting stuff for the TV show, which was a bit different. We did it live to tape, so like we filmed the whole things in full chunks for the most part,
Yeah.
but it was still wasn't live right away, right? So something
Yeah.
messed up, like a light fell or something, or like internet connection on a Skype interview broke, we could restart or start from a certain point. But it was like um, we it was something new for me to learn to run a show and understand, well, all these questions that another producer prepped for us for this guy, we've run through them, we got nothing left. I have to run the show for 5 more minutes, and we have run out of scripted questions.
Yeah.
It was hard
Think on the
learning.
fly.
Yeah, learning, that was one of the greatest skills that I got out of it, and I think I already had a bit of it. But like, my podcast used to run for like 2.5 hours, so you can tell I talk a lot. But I was also really good at
Well,
asking
and that's
questions
part of
about
what
people.
makes you a good host is when you can be someone who kind of helps carry
Well,
conversation.
sometimes the better host though
Sometimes,
is the
yeah.
one is the one that gets other people to talk. A
Yeah.
good host should do the least amount of talking. So that's what I had to learn with the RLCS, and like that's what I did with the dojo too. Was like, I'd sit there just talking to people about actual interesting, relevant questions because I asked the questions I wanted to know because I'm just a curious individual and I like to know as much as possible.
Yeah.
So when I transferred that skill into asking, I'm like, you know what? Instead of just sticking to uh, asking about questions like that I'm told to ask, I'm going to throw in a question that I want. He just said something interesting. I'm going to follow that
Let's
up
go
right
let's go
now.
off of that. Yeah.
And yeah, and that helped a lot, and it brought more personality to it. And I realized, you know what? I don't have to be so perfect on these shows. I can have fun with it, and I can, as the host, move the show in a certain way I want to, as long as it's not so off the rails the director can't keep up. But like,
Yeah.
and it ruins the feel of the show that the producer has made. So it's like for me, I'm like, you know what? I can just I can be a little more free with it, and understanding that I can still just be me without being so tight to a certain regimen or run a show or whatever helped a lot. That was the biggest lesson I learned. And actually, that lesson was within the past year for me. So it was something that's very fresh and I'm still trying to apply. So, being put on as the host of RLCS was a little nerve wracking again. I was a little, cookie cutter at the beginning as well because I just was still then trying to figure out that run a show. Now, going back a
Yeah.
second season, I'll be able to say, hey, I'm I can just I know the flow, so now I can just be free. I can have fun with it a bit more. I can get the other guys opening up now. I know the things to open them up because I've worked with them the whole season.
Yeah, you I mean, well, and like you're also I
So,
imagine you guys are also pretty good friends with each other. I mean, y'all have like y'all work together so often it's kind of hard to imagine y'all aren't.
so it's going to be easier for me to just like just be free and into it a bit more.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, uh, we do know each other really well outside of it, so that helps a lot. But like on the desk, everyone's going through the things I go through where they're tight too, right? So I have to figure it. Just because I know them in person doesn't mean I know them on the desk.
Yeah.
So the way they deal on the desk can be a little tighter. So I have to learn now as a host to loosen them up a bit, and that's also part of my job. But I have to do it in a way that isn't just flat out saying, "Yo, loosen up a bit," right? So
Yeah.
these are these are all skills that I have to learn, and the good thing is that I'm just a very emotionally aware person that I understand how to work with someone and their personality to subconsciously get them to do certain things.
Yeah.
I will adjust the way I am to make sure that they can be the best them. So those were the skills that I've really started to hone in on now. But it's all stuff again that I never really would have thought I'd be doing, and it's a lot more. And I'm so glad that on the desk at Worlds, Turtle flat out said, "This is a lot harder than it looks." I didn't know how
Yeah.
much went on here. I'm like, thank
It
God you said
it
that.
is it is
Thank you
tough
so
doing
much.
like commentary, casting, hosting. Like there, it's tough. Like even just doing like the bubble scene tournaments we do, like it's harder than it looks in a lot of ways. It's not just simply like shouting stuff out, like trying to come up with like things to talk about and have discussion for post game shows and everything. Like, there's a lot that goes into it, and you have to be very observant and quick on your feet and stuff. But I mean, it's been really fun watching this season 7 because you came into it having to fill some pretty big shoes.
Yeah.
And so like
That was on my
I know
mind.
I can imagine it. I can only imagine how it was going into it, but I think that you knocked it out of the park, man. Like as the season went on, like it was clear that you were improving, you were developing yourself, and by the end of the season at RLCS finals, like it looked like you'd just been doing this for a long time. Like you were so composed, you handled it so well. Like you definitely came a long way from when you started at the beginning of the season as the host. And I mean, I think you filled Axel Toss's shoes pretty well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, like, but the good thing that I know is that, like, for me, it's like I hear a lot of praise and stuff too, but like in my mind, I'm sitting back and thinking like, nah, man, I'm trash. Like, I need to make this better.
Well,
next
I
season.
think that's just like also a thing of being someone who does like commentary hosting and stuff. Like even I think I'm pretty bad at this, but people keep saying they're like, "Oh, the show's great," and I'm like, "Oh, thanks, I guess."
Yeah, no, which is a good sign though. Is like you never want to get complacent. If you ever run out
Yeah.
of things for yourself to get better at, you need to ask someone else immediately. Hey, man, real talk, be real, straight up here. I need to keep improving. What can I work on? Hand me something and why you think so.
Please
But
tell me something because I'm
yeah, but
lost.
it's good that you're at the, if you're always at a point where you're like, oh, I know where I can get better. I
Mm.
need to keep getting better, and you can do that yourself. That's just it's just a good sign because it means that you're never happy with the final product, and
Yeah.
it means that every show you do should be your best show ever. But you know that you can still do better. That means it's just gonna keep getting good.
Yeah, it is.
So those are some of the biggest, the biggest thing for me is I've always said, I want to make sure I never get complacent. But I've never actually had to think about that. And I'm
Yeah, because
glad
you're
that
just
it's
always sitting there like, oh, now I gotta work on this.
I'm glad
got
it's just a
that.
part of who I am, I guess, that I'm like, I never even thought about having to not be complacent.
Yeah.
I'm always just like, that was so bad. That was so shite.
That was such a bad deal.
Yeah, I need to make that better and that better. So the good thing is I've never had to think about not being complacent.
Yeah. No,
So
I mean,
that's
and it's
what
just a
I'm
sign of
grateful for.
self-improvement. As long as you keep doing that, I think you'll be just fine. Doesn't sound like you're gonna hit that anytime soon, though.
Yeah, so hopefully I can keep making it better and better for every season. But even if I disregard the compliments, you know that I take them to heart and thank you. But I still like. No,
I think it's hard to always accept a compliment, though, especially like if like you don't think that you're at your best. It's kind of hard to always accept those.
yeah, you're just like, are they telling the truth?
You're like, I kind of disagree. Like, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
You want to say no thanks, but you know you can't say that.
Yeah. That's what I say. If someone ever compliments me and I say, no, man, I'm crap. Like, I'm not disregarding the compliment. I'm taking it in. I'm just still, I got to bring myself
Eye on
back.
the prize.
Yeah, I got to bring myself back. Yeah, no, so those are the biggest things for me that I've been learning. Is like, yeah, it's been a roller coaster. There's been a lot I didn't know, and I'm glad that I've gotten to learn these things because they've helped me just in regular life in general too.
No, I mean you've been doing so well though, and I mean I'm really looking forward to as season 8 develops, seeing you back on the desk hosting again and just running through it more. And it was so funny because I had like just found your stream and I was like talking with you and stuff, and your stream we were just like hanging out, and then like I think month or two later after I'd like come into a couple of your streams and stuff, you got announced as the host. I was like, hey, I'm like one of the few people who go watch his stuff.
Yeah.
That's like, that's awesome.
A lot of people like come to my stream and like, they're like, first off, whoa, I didn't know you streamed. And then secondly, like, whoa, I didn't know you're like this chill. Cause like they see me all tight.
Yeah.
And, like, cause it's a PG show. I am not PG.
No, your stream is not. Your sub notification isn't.
Yeah, I know, it's great. That's great. I'm gonna shout out actually to Tesla. She's the one that managed to capture that magic moment. of me yelling that. It's no, I'm not a PG person.
No.
At all. So
that's why it's fun. That's why it's fun to go watch your stream though. So if you haven't been watching his stream ever, you need to go watch it.
Yeah, or don't. It's really bad. It's not a good stream.
Today was one of the days where you were kind of like, I don't really want to be streaming right now.
It's bad gameplay. I'm not entertaining, and I have a lot of technical issues.
Oh, we got to witness you on technical support today.
Oh yes, because that's what I'm saying, man. That's my stream. It's just Liefx tech support.
It's great. I love it. It's so much. It's actually fun to go watch, though.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, no, I like that people can actually see the real side of me.
Yeah.
So
well, because you got to kind of put on a character whenever you're hosting and stuff. So it's just you get to show that different side of you, and it's like again that wrapping back around to the start of the show. That was the cool thing about BTS is we get to see some of these guys just being themselves. Like that's why like whenever people like were starting to get told not to like say certain words on stream, that just made it all the funnier. I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, like again, we still have to appease the sponsor.
No, and like, and that was the funny part about it though, is because it was like they are just being themselves to a point where it's like, tone it back, pull back, buddy.
A little bit. We were fine. Actually, I think almost every caster accidentally swore on that stream.
I believe it.
More during the Mafia times, not during the casting stuff, but during the Mafia, just because it's like
during Mafia, like it's so relaxed there. I could see it.
Yeah. So, the best Corelli had the best one. If you don't know what it is, you have to go look. I don't want to.
No worries.
But it was hands down the best one. You won for sure for best swear on that stream. But yeah, no, it was definitely fun having it really laid back, and the fact that again, we're still not fully ourselves, but it's way more than anything you'll ever see on the other.
And it kind of at the end of the day, like you guys are just like the rest of us. Like you're not like you get to go do this cool stuff and do the commentary and everything, but like you'll sit down, you'll have a beer, you'll relax just like anybody else will. And I think that's at the end of the day, like that's the coolest thing about going into like your personal stream, going into Gibbs's personal stream and stuff like that. Yeah,
you get to see him actually just chill. He's not just this dude doing
he's not just analyzing and calling out teams.
Yeah, he's not just doing predictions and scenarios. He's actually sitting there. He's got a baby, So it's it's definitely fun to see that. And again, for me, the BTS stuff was fun just for the pros to be able to get their brands out there.
Yeah. Well, that about wraps it up. You got anything else you want to add in before we roll into the closeout?
Not really. Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. It's always fun to get on these talks. Sometimes, it's just nice to just talk casually about whatever Rocket League and all that stuff. So,
about it.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, man.
We appreciate you coming.
Chat in the future too.
For sure. We'll definitely have to have you on again sometime. But guys, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Once again, be sure to follow us here on Twitch so you can stay up to date with us as we go live each week. We'll be uploading this episode later on youtube.com/playingwithrocketsrl and other podcast services for anyone who missed today's episode. Leaf, what plugs do you have aside from your Twitter, since I got it there for you?
Okay, you got my Twitter. Literally everything is Liefx. Absolutely.
You've got everything. I know you do.
I have everything. Liefx, Liefx. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Although my YouTube is Tehleif, Tehlif. I don't really upload there. My Twitch, all that stuff. I'm mostly active on Twitch. And then you can find my Discord in there and get involved in my community's discussion as well too. So my Snapchat I can't say.
Only select people get access to that.
No. Anybody can have access to my Snapchat. It's not. It's just not an appropriate.
Okay.
I mean, I can tell you if you want.
We'll link it. Give it to me after this, and I'll link it in the YouTube description.
All the behind the scenes stuff is on Snapchat. I actually think I have one of the best active behind the scenes Snapchats. So for Rocket League stuff or just in general, make sure you follow that.
All right, we'll link that in the YouTube description for anybody who wants to know what it is. But dude, it was awesome having you. I appreciate you coming on.
No, bless. Thank you. Hope we can do it again.
Guys, this has been Around the Scene presented to you by Playing with Rockets, episode 20 in the books. I'm Ryan, that's Liefx, and it has been our pleasure to have you with us. Take care and enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll see you next time.